Raven went off to play an indoor soccer game with his buddies and believed that Janet and their baby boy Kaiden would be going to bed. He stopped at a convenience store on the way home.
Gets back at 10 o'clock, goes upstairs in their house and finds Janet covered in blood.
Durham 911, where is your emergency? My wife is dead! She's shot and there's blood everywhere. Shot? Yes. Okay, you're gonna have to calm down. How old is your wife? She's 25. I'm sending the paramedics to help you now. Stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do.
Raven sounds hysterical, very upset, on the verge of tears. He's frantic. He's saying Janet's dead.
Can you tell how many times your wife has been shot? Like right in the chest.
She was in a pool of blood, couldn't be saved by the paramedics and first responders who arrived.
There is another breaking story right now.
Just before 11 Tuesday night, Durham police are called to this Farron Drive home.
After responding to a call from the victim's husband, Raven Abaroa.
When they arrive, they find 25-year-old Janet Abaroa murdered. Police aren't saying how she was killed.
My parents were called, I think about 5 o'clock in the morning. And Raven was on the phone and they couldn't understand him.
And the sight of police tape and investigators in this normally quiet neighborhood came as a shock.
He was calling to tell them that Janet was dead and she had committed suicide.
I just stared. I couldn't say anything. I was frozen. I think I was in shock the whole day.
We automatically knew that was not right. She wouldn't have done it to Kaiden.
No, she would have never killed herself, ever. We knew that wasn't true.
Friends tell us she was married with a newborn baby and was looking forward to life as a mother.
I got there and saw the yellow crime lab tape. I was like thinking maybe it's not this house, maybe it's next door. But it won't, it was her house. I said, is it a little tiny blonde-headed girl that's dead? And I didn't want it to be her, but it was.
Hours after the discovery, the body of the young woman was removed from the home.
We watched as they brought her body out of the house.
The police quickly learned that she stabbed multiple times, and that's what causes her death. She was not shot.
Investigators captured images inside the house. There are things out on the counter. In particular, her engagement ring and her wedding band are out. You see these pieces of potential evidence scattered throughout this home that's now become a crime scene.
The police find, when they search the scene, a bloody footprint, a fingerprint.
What's noticeably absent is Raven's laptop, as well as a knife that went missing apparently that night.
It was clear that this is a homicide.
Police immediately find that there are no signs of forced entry. No sign that anyone smashed a window to get in, broke down a door to get in.
No evidence of anybody else being in the home that wasn't supposed to be there.
As soon as you came through the door, she locked the door.
You have an entire community rattled, concerned.
Been safe up until now, I guess.
I just hope they catch whoever done it.
Someone has come in and killed this pretty young mother. There seem to be very few clues. The killer is somewhere in our community.
Don't feel safe until they find out who did it. A lot to think about, considering where she was killed.
Janet Abaroa was found inside her Farron Drive home with what appeared to be a stab wound in her chest.
Janet's family holds a vigil in downtown Durham. They want to bring as much attention to this case as they possibly can.
When Kaiden was 5 months old, she brought him by the office to visit. I was holding him and he was looking at his mommy, squealing with excitement.
People wore purple ribbons in honor of Janet, in honor of her life that was stolen so tragically.
At this time, no one has been charged and the case is still under investigation. It has been classified as a homicide.
We'd like anybody that has any information to call us. no matter how insignificant they may think it is.
I kept talking to Raven about, you've got to help solve this case.
Janet's family is desperate to find out what happened to her. But Raven, it seems, not so much. Just days after the murder, he leaves the state with his little boy, Kaiden. Was it just too painful for him, or was he running away?
His family was in Utah, so to me, that made logical sense.
But he hasn't helped the police. He hasn't set out a reward of help me find my wife's killer.
My thought is, if somebody murders my wife or a child or any close family member of mine, I'm banging on the police door saying, what have you done lately? Raven did nothing. He left and never came back.
Raven provided cooperation at the beginning of the investigation, but there have been subsequent requests for interviews that have gone unanswered.
Janet's sisters start playing detective. Like amateur sleuths, they discover some things that just don't add up.
He had taken out a life insurance policy soon after she was pregnant with Kaiden.
Even before his wife is buried, he calls to cash in that life insurance policy. How much was the policy?
$500,000 on her.
Is he capable of doing that, doing it for the insurance money?
Absolutely.
Any doubt in your minds that Raven killed your sister?
No.
And Kaiden, the baby, was in the next room.
Yep.
How could a father do this?
It's all about him. It's not about Janet, it's not about Kaiden. It's about him and his needs and his wants at that point.
He is a violent person. I've seen that side of him. I've seen the evil in him.
We would obviously like to talk to Raven. He hasn't been ruled out as a person of interest, but it's still an open investigation.
Raven goes on a local Fox program called NC Wanted. He makes clear that he's not the killer and that he wants Janet's case to be brought to justice.
The bottom line is that I wasn't involved with the death of my wife, that I would do anything in the world to keep her here with me, and that's something that I think that people who truly know me can understand and appreciate.
And there's physical evidence that seems to back up his claim. That bloody footprint doesn't match Raven, and the fingerprint found at the scene, unidentified.
Who was that? Whose finger was that?
One of these nights you'll search for the light, only find the truth.